Hello, in this video we will understand about the peanut allergy overview. So we will understand how the peanut allergy reaction will occur. So for example, here is a person. So basically we will target to the understand overview of the dry fruit allergy and etc. by the exemplification of the peanut allergy. So in this video we will understand about the peanut allergy, mechanism of action and the immune system dysregulation. So whenever this person will intake the peanut and go into the stomach, but reaction will not occur. When it will go into the duodenum and then reaction will occur. Here is the epithelial cell contain a mucous membrane which that is the barrier immunity and will not invade the pathogen as well as commensal bacteria. So the microbiome will maintain in the lumen. This is a peanut allergen when intact with the dendritic cell it is Langerhans cell or the dendritic cell, which that basically also due to the damage of the epithelial cell also cause the peanut allergy, but the antigen sampling will lead to produce the interleukin 10 production, and this interleukin 10 for the normal person the T regulatory cell activation to proliferation itself and replication and T regulatory cell proliferation to produce interleukin 10 and transforming growth factor beta, which that control the allergic reaction prevention. In this the B cell basically will recognize this and to inhibit the reaction. But in this case the dendritic cell whenever target to the CD4 T lymphocyte to activate the CD8 lymphocyte T lymphocyte, and in this the B cell also trigger via a CD4 recognition of the antigen through dendritic cell will proliferate into the B memory cell and plasma cell to produce a lot more antibodies, and the B regulatory cell also occur whenever the T regulatory cell will control it. In this way the B regulatory cell will regulate the antibodies. The IgG4 blocking antibodies will produce from the plasma cell. On the other hand, this is the lamina propria. So the CD4 T cell which that lead to cytotoxicity and apoptosis of the cell, and this cytotoxicity will lead to kill the epithelial cell. The food allergen will intact further and the dendritic cell will recognize it. In this way the recognition will lead to transforming growth factor beta production for recruitment of the naive CD4 cell. These sparse patches are present in the epithelial below the epithelial cell. So this is the part of the lymphoid tissue. The cause of the peanut allergy basically due to the genetic, family history, environmental, immune system dysregulation, for example the T regulatory cell deficiency, vitamin D deficiency. So in this way the naive CD4 will lead to activate more IgE4 blocking antibody production due to the T regulatory cell. So the T regulatory cell basically activate. The T regulatory cell role is direct suppression of effect of T cell, cytokines, anti-inflammatory interleukin 10 and T transforming growth factor beta, which suppress the activation of other immune cell. So in this way, here let's understand about that. Whenever the naive CD4 T lymphocyte activate due to the transforming growth factor beta and the dendritic cell activation, in this way, here you can see the IgG4 blocking antibodies when produced will target to the eosinophil and basophil. This eosinophil and basophil inhibition for the further hypersensitivity reaction prevention. For example, here is the endothelial damage, and this endothelial damage also release the cytokines. So in this way it will also trigger the allergic reaction. The allergic triggering cell is basically due to the damage will produce the interleukin 25 and 33 and TSLP. Basically which that increase the T helper 2 cell and the interleukin C2 cell. So in this way, whenever it will be triggered, so in this way basically the allergic reaction will occur. So for example, the naive CD4 also trigger the T regulatory cell for the regulation, and in this way the T helper 2 cell inhibit by the suppression of effector T cell due to the T regulatory cell. So whenever the T regulatory cell deficiency will lead to not control, and in this way naive CD4 T cell will activate the T helper 2 cell after the proliferation. In this way it will be proliferate. T regulatory cell will also increase the IgE blocking antibody for prevention of the further inflammation and the allergic reaction. So remember the T helper 2 cell produce the interleukin 9, this also the interleukin 5 and the interleukin 4 and 33. This interleukin 5 trigger the basophil for the allergic reaction further. And on the other hand, the interleukin 9 will trigger the mast cell to degranulation of the histamine. In this way, the interleukin 5 will trigger the basophil, interleukin 9 will trigger the mast cell due to the activation of the T helper 2 cell, while the interleukin 4 and 33 will trigger the B cell for activation the plasma cell and proliferation after the recognition of the allergens. And in this way the plasma cell will produce a lot more IgE antibodies, which that is a precursor of the allergic reaction. How? Let's understand about that. For example, the plasma cell when release the IgE antibody will bind with the Fc portion of the mast cell, will bind with the allergen with the mast cell to degranulation to produce histamine, and this histamine will lead to allergic reaction. In this way, the allergic reaction basically will lead to anaphylaxis, asthma, coughing and hypertension. This basically is the anaphylaxis, anaphylactic shock, asthma, coughing and hypertension will occur. In this way, the treatment is the quit peanuts, antihistamine drug use, corticosteroids and the immunotherapy. So in this way, I hope you make sense about that. So in summarization, the antibodies which that trigger due to the T regulatory cell by the production of interleukin 10 and transforming growth factor beta to trigger the B cell to proliferation to produce plasma cell, and this plasma cell produce the IgG4 blocking antibodies which that trigger due to the T regulatory cell. So in this way it will be inhibit the allergic reaction, while whenever the T regulatory cell will not regulate and not proliferate, in this way the IgE antibody will increase, will lead to cause allergic reaction. I hope you make sense about that. If you like my video, please make sure to subscribe.